craft and deceit. They are found without fault before the throne of God in verse 5. And the craft being mentioned is in Strong's is witchcraft itself. You know, how many ministries today are delving into witchcraft with their visions and angelic visitations that aren't from God? They're demonic manifestations. Many prophetic ministries today are those who claim to even have prophetic gifts are being deceived by the angel of light himself. And those being deceived, that aren't testing the spirits, that are being deceived by these false visitations, won't be part of the 144,000 because they're found with guile. You know, how many times can Gabriel appear? If Gabriel, the Most High God's heaven, it's appearing to these people. We're going to take about a minute or so break. We'll be back in about a minute or two, folks.
This is the Reality Radio Network on Telstar 5 Transponder 5 and on the internet at realityradionetwork.com.
Do you know where the 78 potentially active volcanoes in U.S. are located? And do you know the locations of the top 300 prime terrorist targets? You can find these answers and more in the new interactive CD book, Prudent Places USA. With the more than 50 interactive parameters, you can pinpoint natural and man-made disaster areas, brewing environmental catastrophes, the safest cities, the best places for solar and wind energy, and much, much more. Complete with 3 gigabytes of detailed information on each of 3,000-plus counties in the U.S., including 550 high-resolution full-color maps and full-color photographs, as well as detailed information and analysis to help you zero in on the best places to live, the ideal location for cabins and vacation homes, as well as safe and unsafe areas. Get Prudent Places USA for only $29 plus shipping by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. That's 888-803-4438 to order on the web or at berkeywater.com.
And now back to Sherry.
Welcome back, folks. Getting back into the 144,000. Let's see where I'm at here. You know, the first group was in heaven, and the Bible describes that there's 3 angels. And one proclaims the hour of God's judgment has come. The second proclaims Babylon has fallen, and the third gives a warning against those who receive a mark of the beast. So you can see God's time frame here when the first group is in heaven. They are in heaven before the time Babylon falls and right before the mark of the beast is enforced upon the world. If you look at the judgments to come, it signifies the destruction of the Babylonian economy. And we know that this happens with the 6th seal. A lot of people look at that term earthquake as literal, and it very well could be, but it's also another term that the Hebrews use for an economic shaking. And so we're looking at probably, if this is indeed the 6th seal and it's an economic crash we're looking at here in America, that's right at the 6th seal, and it's right before the Antichrist comes. This group is taken sometime before the 6th seal judgment during the first half of the tribulation period, and are definitely there right before the second half begins, and they're returned for the second half. So the 144,000 again, not there too long before they're returned back to Earth. And then you run into the second group of 144,000 in Revelation chapter 7. John sees a vision in heaven, and he's standing before the throne of God. In chapter 7, he sees a vision taking place on Earth. So the first group is in heaven, the second group is on Earth. He describes 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth holding the 4 winds of the earth. And it is their assignment to cause damage to the earth, which is natural disasters. Another angel ascends from the east, having the seal of the living God, and cries with loud voice to the 4 angels to not hurt the earth yet till they have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. Here is the angels who seal the servants of God in their foreheads. And this is found in Revelation chapter 7, look through 13 and 15. It is the angels themselves who seal the servants of God by putting God's seal on their foreheads. And these servants are on earth. And those who are sealed number 12,000, each from the 12 of the 14 tribes of Israel. Only the tribes of Dan and Ephraim are left out of the sealing. And it doesn't say why. But those 2 tribes are not involved with the sealing. Now notice the time jump here first they are sealed. The next thing mentioned in chapter 7 is that they are standing clothed in white robes before the throne of God in heaven. And if you look in chapter 7, 13 to 15, it says, "And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto them, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, These are they which came out of the great tribulation, have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them." Where did they come from? These are the ones who came out of the tribulation. Some speculate that this is a rapture, a redeeming of the second group of 144,000. In this one chapter, we see their beginning, where they are sealed on earth, and then we see their rapture into heaven after the time of 1,260 days of service is over. And this group serves God day and night in the temple from that point on. The first group, if you'll notice, it says in 14, they follow him wherever he goeth. And the second group stays in the temple and serves him. The first group is known as the first fruits group, and they were raptured and taken up, and the name of God was written into their foreheads. And the second group, their name is the seal of God is put into their forehead by the angels on earth. So there's two different groups there, folks. And at the same time here, if you look in Revelation chapter 11, it describes further who will lead this particular group. It says, "I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth." There's a lot of speculation on what these two witnesses are. Some people say they're Judah and Israel. Other people say it's the church and the church and the Jews. I tend to believe it's literal. I believe it's some people believe it's going to be a return of Moses and Enoch, or Moses and Elijah. If you look at one of the former books, Nicodemus 5:3. Nicodemus 5:3 says that Elijah and Enoch were going to return in the last days. So that's interesting that this will be found in one of the earlier books that never made it into the KJV version. But it talks about the two witnesses at the last days, and it says it's going to be Elijah and Enoch. Either way, on who it is. I don't know, some people say it's Moses, but Moses died, because you can look in Exodus where the Lord buried him on the mountain himself. And so their whole reasoning was that Moses would return is because Moses never died. Well, he did die. Elijah was taken up into heaven in a chariot, and so was Enoch. And Enoch and John, or Moses and John, other people say it's the Apostle John because nobody saw him die. Well, that's a possibility. I mean, there's nothing to say he did. I mean, I don't know. Some people want to say that it is. I think it's the Jerusalem Bible crowd that believes the Apostle John will be one of the ones that returns. But either way, these two former patriarchs, if it's literal that two former patriarchs will return, they'll arrive at the same time that the 144,000 group is sealed on the earth. And so that's all going to take place about the same time. If any man tries to hurt them, the Bible says that fire proceeds out of their mouth and devours their enemies. And if any man tries to hurt them, in the same manner he tries to hurt them, they must be killed. These witnesses will be able to destroy those who try to hurt them by being able to breathe fire on them, destroying their enemies. It's going to mess with these two witnesses. They have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. So for about 1,260 days, 3.5 years, there's going to be no rain. They could smite the earth with all the plagues, as often as they want to. When they finish their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit, which is space, the beast which comes from space will make war against them, overcome them, and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, which is another names for Jerusalem.